Good day, everyone. I am Chriselle, and I'll start by introducing what pragmatic ethics is all about. Pragmatic ethics is a way of thinking about right and wrong by looking at what actually works in real life. Instead of following strict rules, it asks, does this action lead to good results? Is it practical and useful? If the answer is yes, then it's considered morally right. If not, then it probably isn't the best thing to do. Let's start with a quick scenario. Imagine your class is organizing a fundraising event and you have two ideas. One is fun but very complicated and might not raise much money. The other is simple and almost guaranteed to work, even if it's less exciting. Which would you choose? So pragmatic ethics would suggest picking the one that actually works and helps your cause. Now, to see how this idea developed, let's hear from Perehan, who will talk about William James' view.
Thank you, Chriselle. I am Perehan and I will share the ideas of William James, one of the main founders of pragmatism. James believed that an idea or action is good if it leads to good results and helps people. He said, we figure out if something is true or right by testing it in real life. For example, you only know if Coca-Cola tastes good by actually tasting it, or if a medicine works by seeing if it helps people get better. James thought that if an idea or action lead to good results, then it is true and right. But some people criticize this view. They say it could make truth and morality different for everyone. And sometimes what works for one person might not be good or fair for others. To connect this to another important thinker, let's move to Gomez, who will explain John Dewey's approach to pragmatism.
Thanks, Perehan. I am Gomez and I'll talk about John Dewey, another major figure in pragmatism. Dewey believed that ideas are like tools we use to solve problems every day. He called this instrumentalism. Instrumentalism is a philosophical approach, a specific type of pragmatism that views ideas, theories, and concepts as tools or instruments to solve practical problems. It emphasizes the practical utility of knowledge and learning, rather than focusing on abstract truths or ideal terms. For Dewey, an idea is good if it helps us reach a goal or make life better, especially for society as a whole. For example, if a new teaching method helps students learn more and faster, then it is a good method. However, Dewey's approach also has critics. Some worry that if we only focus on reaching our goals, we might forget to ask if those goals are actually good or fair. There's also a risk that what works for the majority could ignore the needs or rights of smaller groups. Now, let's move on to Birandoy, who will talk about the main criticism of pragmatic ethics and why some people question this.
Thank you, Chris. I'm Joanna, and I'll discuss the main criticisms of pragmatic ethics. First, some people say pragmatic ethics is too flexible or vague. Without clear rules, it can seem like anything goes as long as it works. Second, critics worry that it could justify wrong actions if the results are good. For example, it might excuse bad behavior if the outcome is useful. Third, people point out that what works is subjective. Different people or groups might disagree about what's really effective. Fourth, some say it weakens moral principles like justice or honesty because it focuses more on practical results than on important values. To help you think about these criticisms, imagine this scenario. Suppose you're the leader of a group project. You have two choices. You could do the project all by yourself to get it done quickly, which works for you, or you could work as a team, which might take longer but is fairer to everyone. Take a moment to consider which option would you choose and why. This example shows how what works can mean different things depending on your perspective, and why critics say pragmatism can both be helpful and challenging in real-life situations. Now let's hear from Ikong, who will explain how pragmatic ethics responds to these criticisms.
Thanks, Verandoy. Hello everyone, I'm Ikong. So, I'll explain how pragmatists answer these criticisms. For the first point, pragmatists say that their approach is like science. It's always improving. We keep on testing our ideas and make changes when we learn what works best for everyone, not just for a few. For the second point, pragmatists stress thinking about long-term effects and not just short-term results. They believe we should reflect on what's truly good for everyone, for all, not just what's convenient right now, but thinking about the future. For the third point, about subjectivity, pragmatists use a group discussion and shared experiences to find common ground. It's not just about one person's opinion, so it's a collective. For the last point about weakening moral principles, pragmatists believe strong values come from real-life experiences. Values like honesty and justice matter because they help society work better over time. So, to help you remember these points, here's a quick visual to you can imagine to help visualize these points. So, a circle representing what works for one person, a bigger circle, excuse me, so to representing what works for the group, and the overlap is where pragmatic ethics tries to find the best solution. So let's tie this to another well-known ethical theory, utilitarianism, and see how pragmatism compares. Back to the Gatan. Thank you.
Thanks, Raymond. Now let's compare pragmatism to utilitarianism. Utilitarianism is about making the most people happy, even if it means a few people might not benefit. For example, imagine your teacher gives a prize to the group with the highest score, even if some students in other groups worked really hard but didn't win. That's utilitarian, thinking focusing on the greatest happiness for the majority. Pragmatism is similar because it looks at results, but it's more flexible. Pragmatists believe in always checking if our actions are fair and helpful, not just following one rule. They want us to keep discussing and improving our ideas so we don't ignore anyone's rights. So to wrap up our report, Jennifer will give a short conclusion.
Thank you, Chriselle. To sum up, pragmatic ethics is all about finding what works best in real life. It teaches us to be flexible, learn from experience, and keep improving our ideas of right and wrong. While it is not perfect and faces some criticisms, it helps us deal with the real-world problems in a practical way. And before we end, think about this. Next time you face a tough decision, ask yourself, what solution will really work the best for everyone involved? That's the heart of pragmatic ethics. Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, we